Hello, everybody. Welcome to SportsSkope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. I'm kind of keeping an eye on this crucial game, 6 possible elimination game for the Bucks. Of course, they're up in the game right now. I'm going to talk about an interesting story a friend of mine sent me about Zach Wilson, how he really needs a veteran quarterback. My friend Carlos, that is true. That is true. Let's see. Charles Barkley going to be leaving TNT in a year. Ronaldo, the power of the great Cristiano Ronaldo, the Spaniard soccer player with the Coca-Cola bottle, was interesting there, moving those. And I got an interesting story about that. Love to see Coke catch some heat. We'll talk about how good the performance was the other night of Durant. Even if they lose tonight, I think that they're going to win Game 7. I think they're going to win it. Harden, they could come back and win tonight. But first, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Little bitty old me. One-man show. A guy who works 12 and a half hours a day, drives in traffic all day to come up here and deliver this program and have better takes and be more accurate than people who are paid millions and millions of dollars. They have people who have Stephen A. Smith, Colin Cowherd, Get Up, ESPN, the highest rated ESPN show Mike Greenberg hosts. Dan Patrick. Who else you want to throw out there? None of these people said that they would get rid of Rick Carlisle. Now, you want to blame it on the Athletics story that there was a fallout with Luka Doncic and this gambler, this Vargas, the hiring of him, and Mark Cuban, really annoyed by who leaked that story. Donnie Nelson, the son of the late, great, he's still alive, the former head coach of Dallas and been a head coach forever. I think he's got the most wins, regular season wins in NBA history, Don Nelson. His son Donnie was the general manager, the official general manager of the Dallas Mavericks. Over 20 years. He was fired yesterday, and Rick Carlisle was fired today from the Dallas Mavericks. Now, again, little bitty old me, first guy that said Ja Morant I thought was better than Zion Williamson. Now you hear the national people. First guy, nobody brought up Rick Carlisle. But you know what? This kind of reminds me of that movie Casino, when this sharp gambler was talking to this mob boss, Robert De Niro. He played the sharp gambler. Remo was the big boss. Remo said, "How did you have Oklahoma? Nobody had Oklahoma." And then Robert De Niro said, "That's because it paid so well." You know, my dad used to tell me, if you don't toot your own horn, nobody will. And one of these days, folks, you're going to look back. You'll open up your phone, you'll go on your laptop, whatever, or watch in some cases, and you'll read major network takes chance on podcaster. Then a few years later, you're flipping and it'll say Robert Butler SportsSkope. It goes national. About 3 years later, you'll look at that phone again and you'll see it says Robert Butler SportsSkope, former podcaster, signs biggest contract in sports talk history. Top Stephen A. Smith at $8 million. That's what you're going to get here. You know, Rush Limbaugh, the late, great Rush Limbaugh, he's a conservative talk show. He's not a sports guy. But he used to joke around and say, I got half my brain tied behind my back to make it look fair, to make it fair. And that's me with this stuff, my situation. Because let me tell you something, guys. When I do win that million in these $1 million tournaments, I'm going to outscoop these guys on stories. I'm going to write on my own website. And then I'm also going to have the best opinions in America. That's how this show is. Nobody said Carlisle, but who said it? Me. Who put this thing together? Me. That's who. That's what Tony Montana said in The Great Scarface. So, again, that's the biggest story right now, if you ask me. It's heads rolling. Fired the general manager, Mark Cuban, and now the head coach has been fired. Now, the reason why I got this the way I do is because I think like a AAA personality, like an owner, like a general manager. These other people don't. They rest on their laurels. But you know something? I'm a single guy. I make notes all day. I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and make notes. I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to use restrooms sometimes, you know. And I make notes to myself about certain takes that I have, Pickles, you know. Thanks, Doc. Thanks, Doc. But, you know, yeah, Kathy, I appreciate that. Not to, you know, keep going on and on, but it just is what it is. Now, again, with this guy, this Vargas guy, and that's my first one I got right. I said they need to do away with the reason why they fired Carlisle, why Mark Cuban fired Carlisle, is they said he quit, but Cuban, this is what happened. This is what I imagine happened. I'm a type A. I know how type AAAs think. That's why I got my gold towel, because I'm a gold medalist of sports talk, okay? He's mad. He was hotter. Mark Cuban, when that story from The Athletic came out the other day, it came out first Tuesday. He went to bed. Then I told you, Cuban, who blocked me on Twitter, but he also watches. I'm sure he's watched SportsSkope because I have another account on SportsSkope. He can watch it on that. He blocked R. Butler, 723, but he tweeted out bull bleep. That's what he tweeted out the other day. Mark Cuban. That was Tuesday night. He woke up Wednesday morning with a clear mind and hotter than a $4 pistol, like my dad would say. And he immediately fired Donnie Nelson, Pickles. He immediately fired Donnie Nelson, Pickles, who is the son of the late, not the former head coach, Don Nelson, who coached Mavericks for a number of years. Donnie Nelson had been there for over 20 years, and he had been recruiting Luka Doncic since he was a kid. And Doncic spoke out about it. Doncic from Slovenia, I'm sure I jacked that up, his national team on Donnie Nelson. It was kind of tough on me. I really like Donnie. I know him since I was a kid. He was one that drafted me. It's tough for me to see him, but I'm not the one making decisions. So, yeah, he was hot about that. But so going back to Cuban, Mark Cuban, he woke up mad. He fired Donnie Nelson immediately. And he didn't want to make it look like he was doing this out of anger and spite. So he waited all day to the nighttime into this morning. And then he said, listen, I appreciate everything you did, Rick, but I got to let you go, man. He had probably been thinking about this before this all blew up, Mark Cuban. But Cuban was thinking, I don't want to fire them both at once because it looked like I'm flying off the handle, which he was. But so he says, you can either quit or I'll fire you, whichever one you want to do. And, of course, he quit today. Rick Carlisle, the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. My guess is that the big knock on Rick Carlisle a few years ago, I heard that he was calling. This is a problem with Rondo. Guy was calling a play every single possession. We saw the Atlanta game. You can't do that and call a play every single possession and still win in this type of league because the three, you got to wait till, most of the time you have to wait till your other four players get down there. Well, time you do that on a fast break, the opposition's got their defense in set. See, and you can't get that three, a pop and drop, you know. So pick and pop is what I would say. That's what that was about. This just made it easier. This just set it over the top with Cuban, see. Now, I think he should fire Vargas, too, because I heard the guy was terrible at drafting. He was doing substitutions. His ego won't let him do that because he don't want to be proven wrong. So my prediction is that this time next year, when they're still probably in sixth place, not unless they do a blockbuster trade, he'll fire Vargas and start over. Prediction number 2, you might not hear about it now. It may be a year from now, maybe 18 months, 2 years from now, Pickles. But the NBA, once Adam Silver and the NBA security team read that article from The Athletic about Vargas being a former professional gambler, they're going to look into, it probably won't go public for a while, every game since he's been there in 2018, and they're going to check, backtrack and see if there was how many times they beat the spread, and they're probably going to look into it. May not be nothing, but my guess is they will look into it. That's why I'm the best. I'm a step ahead of everybody else, okay? That's my prediction from this story, big story. And the other big story is the injuries. I mean, since the last time I came on here, folks, Kawhi Leonard may be out for the entire playoffs, and that's another prediction I was right about. Monday, even though kudos to Paul George, and I'll get to that in a minute. Kawhi Leonard out with an ACL. They don't know if it's a tear or not, but he's probably going to miss the playoffs. He's probably not. He's been fighting to a foot injury. That's why I said I don't think they're going to be able to win it, because there's too many long series. Kind of like the issue with the Lakers and LeBron, which leads me to all these injuries and what LeBron said, and what LeBron said, and also what the league said. What the league said prior to that. After LeBron, the league made folks made a statement after LeBron said what he said. And I'm trying to find it now. I've got a boatload of notes here. Again, I have to have half of my brain tied behind my back to make it even, guys. It's too easy for me, you know? But trying to see if I will be able to get this if it kills me. And again, we talked about this before. This is what LeBron said. If I can find a better view of it. Okay. So 9 different All-Stars will miss a playoff game this year. This is what Anthony Davis, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul, and Kawhi Leonard. LeBron said, they all didn't want to listen to me about the start of the season. I know exactly what happened. I only wanted to protect the well-being of players and ultimately the product benefit of our game. If you want to do that, just stop trying to lecture people on politics and do all your homework and not paint broad brushes. Okay. Then he says these injuries aren't just part of the game. He said that in caps. It's all pure rest before starting back. 8, possibly 9 starters missed playoff games in league history. This is the best time of year of our league, and fans missing a ton of favorite players. It's insane, blah, blah, blah. And he keeps on whining. So then the league came back, and I thought that was kudos to the league. And of course, Jason Whitlock is Mr. Anti-LeBron, but he's got a good point. He said LeBron's injury explanation, the NBA took 4 months off and in return to the bubble. Kawhi, for example, played 19 games in the bubble. Why did Kawhi get hurt? He said Kyrie Irving Didn't play any games in the bubble. How come he got hurt? That was a good point by Jason Whitlock. So the NBA comes out and says, Mike Bass, after the criticism of the league schedule from LeBron James, injury rates were virtually the same this season as they were during 19 and 20, while starter level and all-stars missed games due to injury at similar rates at least the last 3.5 seasons. So, of course, LeBron's just full of crap, thinks he knows it all. Listen to this. But this is the real reason. This is the real, you get the real talk here on SportsSkope. This ain't corporate talk. This ain't muzzled talk, okay? This is Colin Cowherd talking about what Gary Payton, who played 79, 82 games, Jordan, 82, 79, Bird, Magic. Well, we're supposed to be better with time, better with technology, better with diet, better with everything, more involved now. This is what he talked about with talking about Gary Payton.
It was fewer, it was like 78, 79. And in that era, there were harder fouls. You got pushed around more. You didn't have state-of-the-art treatment like now. There was more fatiguing travel. And Gary Payton never missed games. And I asked him, everybody's getting hurt. Is it luck? Is it a condensed schedule? And he said something very interesting to me. He said, the more power players get in any sport, the less they have to practice and the less conditioning you can demand of them. And he goes, when I played, I had to guard guys that were like Michael Jordan strong. He goes, I didn't get hurt because I was lifting. I would be in the facility for 5 hours lifting for 3. That's just not the way the game works. In the NFL, offensive lines have gotten so...
Yeah. So like the same thing that I've been telling you guys from the get-go, when I come on the Mac and Jack show, when you want, not to sound like a broken record, but I got to hit this home. When you want 20 and 30-somethings, when you allow them to dictate your league, coaches this is what you get. You get players walking out on games because they saw something in the news. Are you kidding me? You get players coming to camp out of shape. Anthony Davis, there were reports this year. And I understand Shaq was like that too in his day, and he's just very fortunate to win anything. Shaq would come in often out of shape, But that's what I've been saying. They won't allow coaching. Pampered, soft, walk on eggshells around them. And this is what you get. This is more physical league. Pickles, you saw the league in the 80s. Have you seen a Detroit Pistons game in 1987? It was football. Nobody missed games. I think Isaiah got hurt one time in the finals. But that's what happens. Now, when we're talking, let me talk to you straight, okay? If it was me, if I was a commissioner and I had the richest owners on my side, I would say, listen, I don't care if we got a 2-year strike, a holdout, a blackout. We could go as bad as Major League Baseball and miss the World Series. But it's okay to give the guaranteed contracts. But when you got players not wanting to practice and your doctors say they're fine to practice, that was the whole thing with Kawhi Leonard and Greg Popovich. Even though I don't like Popovich, I kind of agree with him. The doctor said Leonard was fine. He just didn't want to play. He didn't want to play, And he's a jerk about it. But, geez, man, that was what that was over with the Spurs. But I would make it where you want to do this air quote load management. You're fine if you come in and out of shape. You want to try this hiatus crap that Kyrie Irving tried a couple months ago. At first, it's a $100,000 fine. If you sit out like that and take yourself out of a game, then it's game check. Then it's multiple game checks. Then here's a good one for you, Pickles. Then it's void contract action. Now, you could get a second opinion. That's fine. But you got to take your league back. Stop having kids in here. Either set up a league where they can play as teenagers professionally. Like LaMelo Ball won Rookie of the Year. He played overseas. Or make it a 3-year limit out of college or out of high school, whether you play overseas or what. Then bring these guys in like men and stop pampering them. Then you'll have a more healthier league. Take coaching back. You don't have to overcoach. You don't have to do Rick Carlisle. But that's what happens when you have a players league. When you have air quotes for my podcast, look like the Chris Farley air quote guy. But when you have a players league and you have to walk on eggshells around the players, this is what you get. I'm not pro owner. I'm not pro player. I'm pro betterment of the game, folks. This is ridiculous. People are hurt out of this world now. And it's because, like my dad used to say, it's because they're out of shape. Hamstring injuries are coming in out of shape. Scottie Pippen admitted it. He admitted one year that I wasn't about out of shape. He said that I'm not going to mess up my summer rehabbing. You know, I'm not going to mess up my summer rehabbing. I'll rehab on their time. In my NBA, you get fined multiple game checks for that crap. And if you're a repeat offender, we'll void your contract. Treat them like adults, you know. Treat them like adults. Okay? Other observations. How good was LeBron the other night? And like I said, I think LeBron, or not LeBron. No, you know what? Let me go with something else. There was one of the big worst collapses, 25 points. How was it? 26 pickles that they blew. I can't remember the lead that Philadelphia blew. Here's another hot one for you. You know, I've been praising Joel Embiid like nobody's business. You know, and last night up 25, 26 points. You got Joel Embiid with the torn meniscus. He's an old soul playing through it. You know, but I want to show you the stat line of everybody else in that particular game. Tobias Harris, 4 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. When you see your star player miss that many shots in the second half, you know he's playing his guts out. Doc Rivers has got to bring these guys on the sideline and say, you've got to pick him up, get to the rim, and help your teammate out, Ben Simmons. 4 points for Tobias Harris. This guy's got a $180 million contract. Love Tobias Harris. Completely melted in the second half. Ben Simmons, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. And just awful from the free throw line. Ben Simmons only took 4 shots the whole game. 4 shots. Here's another one for you. If I'm Daryl Morey, the general manager, newly acquired, very aggressive Daryl Morey of the Philadelphia 76ers, I call Portland. I say, okay, we want Dame. Hear me out. Damian, Tobias Harris, and Ben Simmons for Damian Lillard and that other big guy. I forgot Valanciunas. I can't remember his name now. It's slipping my mind. But the other big man don't play a lick of defense. We'll take him. We'll take some draft picks. We'll get another team involved to make the money right. The money has to match up in the NBA. and you send us Damian Lillard, and we're gonna go to war with Damian Lillard and Joel Embiid, and you can have 2 wingmen with CJ McCollum, with your new coach another one I called Pickles. Who put this thing together? Another one I called. I said, yeah, you need to fire Terry Scott, to coach of Portland. 7 years, they don't play a lick of defense. They need wings, and I'm not talking about hot wings. Okay? So, yeah, Simmons is, he's scared to death up there. He shrinks in big moments. So that's what I would do. I would, win or lose this year. I don't think they're going to get to the finals. They might. I still like Brooklyn or Milwaukee. You can't trust that team now. You can't trust them, And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'll say this. That I would be aggressive, and that's what he's brought in there for. He went out and got Doc Rivers. Daryl Morey was very aggressive with Houston. He got Chris Paul there. He got Russell Westbrook. He got rid of Chris Paul on his big contract, shipped him off to Oklahoma City, brought in Westbrook. He's a big swing guy, big analytic guy, big swing guy. So that's what I would be looking at. I would try to make a very aggressive right now move, probably in July sometime, right after the season's over with. So hold on, everybody. Well, I got about 2 minutes. What other big story? Now, as far as Utah, that was Utah Clippers was a classic case of Paul George. Tuesday in January when nobody's paying attention to him, Pickles, Paul George, I used to play daily fantasy all the time. I had a lot of time on my hands. I was out of work for a little while. 2015, winter 2015, I was basically out of work. I was working a little part-time security job, and I was still living off some of my real estate stuff. I was playing daily fantasy Pickles every day. And Paul George would go 6-7 games in a row where he would hit multiple threes, red hot, knock out a Laker team on a Tuesday or a Thursday. Man, the guy just wouldn't do nothing wouldn't do nothing in the playoffs, man. He'd just come up short, But you lost Kawhi Leonard. You were 4-point underdogs. And Utah, I watched that game to halftime. I felt uneasy. Utah had all them three, but Bodanovich or whatever his name is, Bodanovich, Pickles. I think he missed like 2 threes. He had like 6 in the first half. And I thought to myself, these guys are reading their press clippings. They think they got this game won because it's in Utah, no Kawhi Leonard before it even starts. And there's zero. Everybody says a lot of pressure. No, you got a built-in excuse to lose. You have a built-in excuse to lose. You lost the best two-way player in the game, some call at times. Hold on, folks. Let me change out my thing here. All right. Done. All right. Now I'm back. Oops. Okay, inner studio. Here we go. Nope, that's not the right one, is it? No, let's see. We're going to get back on here in just a second, my friends. Oops. Lost everybody on my, whatchamacallit there. That was from yesterday. I'll zoom that one out. Knock this one out. 834. Okay. That one right there. Just can't think when my mind goes blank. Okay, here we go. Sorry, got a little screen crazy there, folks. And yeah, so basically Jackson, shot him out of the gym in the second half. So that was a classic. No pressure. Let's see how they go with the pressure back on them. I got a feeling Mitchell's going to be more aggressive. Utah got way too 3-point complacent. You got to use Gobert more inside, Gobert, and Mitchell's got to be more aggressive. Now, he's not 100%. We know that. And Conley still hadn't came back. So that's my take on that. I think Utah still got more than a good chance to win this thing. Let me make sure I've got all my stuff on the court taken care of before. All right. So in other news, and of course, LeBron Durant in Game 5 yesterday. That was epic. That I was saying on Twitter. I said and Facebook and everything that was LeBron Game 6, 2012. Boston up 3-2 on the road at home. Miami down 3-2, goes on the road. LeBron, he has an amazing 45-point game. That was one of the great plays. So that I'm also right. I would say, yeah, Durant's the best player in the league right now, today. So that's my take on that, everybody. Now, in other news, Charles Barkley has said that he is, as soon as he's turned 60, which he's 58, Pickles, he's leaving the best. And of course, Chris Paul's got COVID. We're going to see how that plays out. He supposedly has got the vaccine, and he's still got I think he's got to have a few more negative. He got a positive testing, but I think if he gets a few more negatives, he'll still be able to play. I think the NBA is going to work that out somehow. But here's an interesting article here. Charles Barkley blasts TNT bosses over cancel culture. You can't even have fun days nowadays. He told a radio show, 106.7 The Fan, Grant and Danny show, that everything is coming too politically correct. He can't have fun anymore. Basically, what he was saying, he says that I'll hang on for a couple more years till I'm 60. Then they can kiss my AWS. I'm working till I'm 60. I've already told him that. That's what. Now he's 58. He'll be 60 in February in 2 years. So basically, what this was about was, for instance, he made a comment, and he's got an ongoing joke about women being big in San Antonio, Texas, and I listened to it a few times. And it's been ongoing for years. And he says the reason why he does little jokes like that is to keep the audience. They're the number one show, in my opinion, and most people, the highest paid non-football, maybe the highest paid pregame, postgame show out there, maybe the best. Most of it because he says exactly what's on his mind. Never calls anybody out specifically, but basically he said, and it was funny, I did laugh. He said, I can't even talk about San Antonio having big women anymore. And what makes it more funny, every time I go to San Antonio, is Shaq's reaction. He starts laughing really hard, and it's really hilarious. So he's saying that cancel culture, his boss, some lady wrote in and complained about it. One person complained about it. And somebody on TNT told him that, which is owned by Turner Sports, and which includes CNN President Jeff Zucker, and they're buying into this cancel culture crap. So you can't say anything remotely off topic or even off color but never called nobody specifically. They had a little fun with it. Some woman from San Antonio said, who's the fat bald-headed guy? Who's he calling big? She said something like that. Little back and forth. Somebody don't even watch basketball, probably on Twitter. These cancel culture, but somebody with no life complain, and now he's saying he can't, and that's what makes him him. That's his MO. That's his shtick, So he's going to be done in 2 years. The greatest of all time, as far as personalities and everything. But a little bummed out about that. In other news, this is interesting, folks. Cristiano Ronaldo, he's a Spanish soccer player, is one of the most popular Cristiano Ronaldo athletes in the entire world. One of the and I was also told the guy, one of the best looking people. A lady I work with called me Ronaldo one time, and I looked him up. I said, well, ma'am, I appreciate that. I wish I had his athleticism, height, and money. But, yeah, we kind of favor a little bit. He's a heck of a player. But he made my day the other day, and it had nothing to do with soccer. This guy, Ronaldo, is a big health guy. He removed 2 Coca-Cola bottles during a press conference at the European Championships. Has coincided with a $4 billion fall in share price of the drinks company. Yes, you heard that right. This is from Business Insider. Forbes is reporting on this. Coca-Cola, one of the official sponsors of the Euro 2020, the company's share dropped from 56.10 to 55.22 almost immediately after Ronaldo's gesture. A 1.6% dip. The Coca-Cola value went from 242 to 238 in a drop. I mean, just like that. And I couldn't be happier. I've been drinking water for a while. And I thought to myself, that ain't going to drop Coca-Cola. They're a global company. They're all over the world. But when they put out this diversity training, this racist training for their employees, which leaked out, somebody leaked it out, about white employees not being, it's not good for white employees to act white, to not be, what does it say? Something about an individualist. There was some really offensive, critical race theory BS. And I told my inner circle that I'll never buy a Coke again. They take advantage of these marginal groups. And they do that because they're a global company. They do that because they're a global company. If they were just national, they wouldn't pull that crap, And then I also had something to say about that perfectly legal Georgia law. And I didn't like them for that. But my dad brought some Cokes over the other day, and I did drink one of them. But and a friend of mine asked me to bring a Sprite over. She was having a party about 4 weeks ago, and I bought a Sprite. But other than that, I will never drink a Coca-Cola product again. Not Dasani water, not Sprite. I won't purchase. Excuse me. I never. If it's there, I'll drink it. I don't know. If I'm thirsty, I'm craving it. But Sprite, Dasani water, Coke, Diet Coke, Dr. Pepper, they push that crap. So I thought that made my day when Ronaldo. And I'll say this. And it's the same people that complained on Barkley. If Barkley, going back to Barkley, if he would have said that the white women in San Antonio were fat, no complaints. But he said all women, which could be a minority, because there's like this war on white people in this country. And I think there wouldn't been anything an issue with that. You know, I know we're in a hard time right now, folks, and I don't really like to talk about this. But you know what? As far as stuff like this, what Coke's doing, critical race there, which banned in my great state of Tennessee. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, state legislator. There's teaching in public schools. That's a whole different topic. But we're on this push, you know. It's a reverse racism going on. But you know something, folks? In the last several months, even though we've got a lot of these academics, my dad used to tell me, those who can't do teach. And I've told you the story about this bitter professor I had. He wanted to be in a rock band, became a professor, the most biggest jerk on the planet. These people in these universities, I started a lot of this. These professors with tenure, see, it's hard to get them fired. A lot of them never started off life wanting to be a professor. They start all this critical race theory and all this crap. But my friends, who've been my friends for 10, 15 years, Corey's a good friend of mine, a black guy. Worked with him back in 2007. First day we worked together, this boss asked me, this real jerk supervisor, my boss, another bitter guy. He says he's going to come up on my shift and check up on this guy because he thinks he's running late at 5:45 in the morning. I didn't never meet Corey from a hole in the ground. I called Corey. I wasn't supposed to do this, but I called him on his personal phone. I said, listen, tomorrow make sure and be on time. This jerk, who was also the guy I was telling you about when Anthony Cox and his son was telling me about. And me and Corey became good friends. He came in on time. The guy had nothing. He couldn't write him up. Corey's a black guy, you know. Went to TSU here in Nashville. I graduated from Austin Peay. But my point is, I've never been closer to my black friends. I love them and they love me. They're letting me know that they ain't signing up for this. It's people with ideologies are pushing this crap in this country. And your corporate corporations, these global corporations can do stuff offensive, you know. But kudos for Ronaldo to getting their stock going down. They'll be okay. Another thing, I said Calipari from Kentucky. This is in my notes here. I said that he'll either quit or be fired in the next year or so. Now he's saying that he would be open and jump back in the NBA. What a coincidence. John Calipari, another guy, been past the 10-year rule. Jumping around, folks. Just wanted to get that stuff off my mind. That really kind of made my afternoon, to be honest with you. Okay. Stan Van Gundy, he was fired from New Orleans. And I talked about Coach Cal. This is the New Orleans Pelicans. He's another guy, likes to coach hard, defense. Zion don't want to play with him. They fired him. 1 year. 1 year. Again, with the coaches league and the making the players league. Wanted to get that out. There's another big story. Love Herm Edwards. 67-year-old coach. I'm jumping around, folks. I know. Arizona State football. Been there for about 3 years. Well, there's the team is 17-13 under him, but now they've got a lot of recruiting violations. It's screenshot. They were bringing in recruits during dead period, sneaking them around cameras. Sources said that he knew about it. Most of the sources says he knew about 80-90% of the of these recruits coming in. This good guy loves Jesus, everything. Well, I said that about John Wooden too, right? He's a man of faith. Bill Walton goes on and on about John Wooden. I told you guys he had a very shady, what do you call those guys? Booster that brought in recruits. They got in some trouble in the like 1981, towards the end, very end of Wooden's tenured. And I don't know. I don't know if Herm coach is going to survive this. But my thing about that is Coach Edwards plays to win the game. And again, I'm a type A. I understand people like Urban Meyer who push themselves into physical health problems to win football games. Herm hasn't coached at all prior to this in the college game, been a professional coach for a long time. Great guy. And it's just, again, not to beat my own horn here, but it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the program. The reason why I'm having good takes is because I am a AAA personality. Mark Cuban is a AAA personality. A lot of these head coaches are AAA. We did a test at psychology class one time. 50 random questions asked. And there were color codes for strong personality to mild personality. And everybody had blue, and some people had orange, and there was one other color I can't remember. And I said, I've got red. They said, well, that's, you may be very successful. You're an ultra competitor, and you may die of a heart attack, but you may be very successful. I said, oh, man, wow. And that's the kind of personality. So I wouldn't put it past him that that's what he's doing. I hope he gets past it. I like the guy. I like what he brings. I like the positivity. I've always liked the team's physicality. I like their defense. And they played much for his lack of experience. This team's played way better than I could imagine. He's got a winning record at Arizona State. That's interesting. But yeah, they're in a lot of fire right now. And it's been going on. This story is, like I said, the NCAA investigation in Arizona football now includes whether coaches paid recruits expenses during unofficial visits. That's two big violations. Unofficial visits, hiding behind cameras, now that's one thing. And then Athletics is quoting as saying, Doug Haller from Athletics, it was a matter of when rather than if former ASU staff member. It was a matter of when rather than if, talking about paying for their expenses on unofficial visits. Now, I'm all for capitalizing on your likeness, and I get all that. But, Doug Matthews, assistant coach, University of Tennessee, once said that to win in this league, and he's talking about he coached in 1985. And he says you got to get right up to getting on probation to violation. Just don't go over that line. You got it right up to the line, right up to it to win in this league. So I don't know how Saban does it other than he just out hustles people. He takes it to the extreme. He makes the He spends more money. He makes Alabama pay more money to recruiters. He has the biggest staff. You have SMU with Eric Dickerson, and there was another guy there, the Pony Express, and I can't something James. What's his name? Pickles. Greg James Pickles also was paid there and admitted it. Really, really good player. So it is what it is, folks. And I saw another story today. Interesting. Somebody tweeted this out, Pickles. I wanted to play it since I've still got plenty of time. Hold on. Let's see here. Change out this thing here. 20 minutes in, record. All right. So I've got plenty of time now. Got plenty of time. I got, actually, you know what? Carlos sent me a story about, he sent me a story about the a criticism of how the Jets are not bringing in Zach Wilson right, and he's had a pretty good camp. He's had a passing grade in the camp, a passing grade of awesome is what the coaches said in the camp. According to Mike LaFleur, the coach of Green Bay's younger brother, he's the offensive coordinator. Matt LaFleur, the head coach of Green Bay. Mike LaFleur, the younger brother, offensive coordinator with Robert Saleh, 49ers, all got connected through the 49ers, and Kyle Shanahan said that Zach Wilson so far has an awesome grade. He's been killing it, air quote, and in practice. But Carlos sent me this article saying that the Jets are not bringing in a veteran quarterback behind him. They're bringing in two other unproven players, young. And I thought to myself, the article was criticizing the Jets because they didn't do that with Darnold at the beginning. And that the kid is very young. He's like 20, 21 years old. Go right into the Jets. Same thing they did with Darnold, basically. Except Darnold had, a mentor to learn under. And I thought to myself, that is with the amount of cap money that they have and this market that they're in, the biggest, where he can get the most criticism, where he can lose his confidence overnight, you really should have a veteran quarterback presence. Everybody needs a Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I thought to myself, Carlos, I know you watched the playback. That is a very good point. In other football news related, Andy Dalton, Matt Nagy, and that GM that's going to get canned, Ryan Pace from the Bears. They brought in Andy Dalton, said he's going to be the week one starter no matter what. And why would you even say that when you still have a Super Bowl winner on the roster in Nick Foles, veteran, very good guy. Very good guy. And then, of course, like I said, another one of my takes that nobody else brought up, that the Bears would go after Fields. He would end up probably with the Bears or Minnesota. If it's me and I'm going through training camp, I'm calling the Chicago team, and I'm asking them about Foles. You've got draft capital, you've got money. You could take Foles' contract and bring him in there. And if it's a tie, this is an old adage, and this is what Herm Edwards said, and I go with it too. I'm sure Andy Reid would back me up. Even Belichick. If it's a tie, go to the young player. If there's a slight edge, start the veteran. Which would be Nick Foles. Or Andy Dalton, for that matter. But I prefer Dalton. Looks like he's got this notion that he just wants to be a starter. Oh, he's not a starter. I mean, he's just Andy Dalton, Alex Smith, Fitzpatrick. They are Teddy Bridgewater. They are stopgap / top-notch backup quarterbacks. They're not promised land franchise guys in my book. But you bring in a Super Bowl winner, 30 years old, been around a while, and let Zach, and Wilson may start off the season on fire and slow down and lose his confidence. Still stay competitive. You can learn with Foles. You can teach him how to be a pro. and you've got this young offensive coordinator. Now, if this coordinator would say been a former NFL player that was still fairly young, or a 45-year-old retiree, somebody like that, like a Peyton Manning's age or whatever, I think that would work. But I just do not think that that they have a good roster of quarterbacks right now. So that is a good point by Carlos that I wanted to make. If you really have to think about this and really stew it over, he's probably the most likely, he being Zach Wilson, to bust. Young coaching staff, very young, day one starter. Not the same thing with Jimmy Garoppolo and their quarterback situation. I just mentioned the Bears situation. Okay, not those in those situations at all. This is the guy that's said to go start week 1 at the youngest age. He should have the veteran quarterback there, but they want to do things their own way. Yeah, a good veteran quarterback who not going to cause a disruption. Foles he's got a big contract and he's won a Super Bowl. And he's already was going to retire at one point before he went to the Eagles. So the money's not an issue with him. He's already proven what he can be. So Jets, go out there and get Nick Foles. Be competitive. Don't let this guy lose. Let him show Zach Wilson what it's like to be an NFL quarterback. Your practice routines, your rehab routines. There's only your mental, how to get your mental capabilities back after having a bad game in that market. These are things, injury, how to do it, that I can't teach him because I never played NFL quarterback. Mike LaFleur can't teach him because he didn't play NFL quarterback. If he did, I'd never seen him play, And these other two guys I've never even heard of, Pickles. Hold on, folks. I got to make sure I'm not over again on my... Okay, I'm only 8 minutes in. I'm doing good. So I was reading a tweet. Joe Flacco would be ideal. So I was reading a tweet today. Last story. We are on the 27th year anniversary. Some people are, my niece is 27. She was born in November of this year, 1994. And I'm going to play this soundbite, and you will be able to hear me out. I'm going to read the context, and then I'm going to play the soundbite. Joe Plano, a daily email, redhuddleup.com, New York. This guy tweeted this out. He said, 27 years ago today, the craziest day in sports history. World Cup kicks off in U.S. New York Rangers championship parade. Arnold Palmer plays his final U.S. Open round. But the night ended with OJ's car chase interrupting Game 5 of the NBA Finals, and it sounded, this is rare footage, it sounded like this.
Please, man. Hey, you've been a good guy too, man.
This is a guy talking, I think this is some kind of negotiator talking to OJ as they're driving in the car. I don't remember this from the 5-hour documentary called Made in America, Pickles. Okay? 30 seconds.
Hey, you've been a good good guy too, man.
Thanks.
I know you're doing your job. You went honest with me
appreciate
right
that.
from the beginning. Just saying you're doing your job.
Listen.
I know you're doing a good job.
Okay, thank you. But there's a lot of people that love you. Don't throw it all away. Don't throw it all away.
I can't take this.
Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay.
You got your whole family out here.
Detective
They
Tom
love you, man.
Lane.
Don't throw this away. Don't do this. They love you. Don't do it, OJ. It's going to work itself. Please, man.
Hey, you've been a good guy too, man.
Now, I remember I went back, Pickles, and looked at that. And before I have on my calendar now, I can go back. I have an organizer. I can go back and tell you what day you were born on. I can go specifically. I can say what day you were born on. And by memory, I knew that was on a Friday night, but I had to double check. I went back and I checked Friday, June 17th, 1994. I was 12, about to turn 13. I went up to Nashville, stayed with my mom. My dad was living in Destin, Florida. And I went up earlier that week. And I remember that week, the news was talking about that Nicole Brown Simpson was dead, and this waiter, Ron Goldman, was dead. And the last thing I heard about that prior to this was they don't have any other suspects. He is the only suspect. So I'm watching a little bit of the basketball game. I'm pulling hard for the Knicks. Jordan was out this year. He was playing baseball to beat the to beat Houston that year. That was one of the Houston Rockets' 2 championships. So a good friend of mine, I want to say it was a guy named Daniel. We walked from our house to the bowling alley. Met some girls. Met my first girlfriend that night, Pickles. First little official girlfriend. And had a good time, bowled several games, And I walked back home. And my stepdad's not a big sports guy, but he had this on. And I stayed up as late because everybody thought this guy was going to kill himself in his car that night, And nothing happened. They talked him out of it. You remember the rest is history. There was the guy parked. Some guy ran towards the car, and I think it was his son. They pulled him back, finally got OJ out. They went on and arrested him and booked him, and the rest is history. I mean, OJ's still alive, and they're still looking for the real killers, of course. But that was an interesting day. That was one of those days like 9/11. I can pinpoint exactly time, place, details, specifics of everything I did that day. 9/11, that day, I got off work. Was just about to go to bed, and I worked third shift, and I was watching the national news, and of course it happened. The second one hit me. I watched it live that day. I didn't sleep that whole day. I worked third shift. I was so creeped out about the 9/11 stuff. I was just up there in New York. But certain days in history, my parents, my dad, he was telling me about it. He knows everything that happened the day JFK got shot. The whole day. And there's some people now that can. I saw this on 60 Minutes several years ago, Pickles. That they have that. We see a traumatic event in our life, and we memorize everything that happened that day, everything specifically. There's some people, a handful of people out of the United States, that can remember every single day of the most mundane days in their life, just like we can remember stuff like the OJ thing that happened. It's very interesting. But it's a day I'll never forget. And I tell you what, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. We're going up on 30 years now. And I remember all the details, folks. So anyways, if you like my show, share my show. sports bring people together. And again, I want to end, like I said earlier, the comments I made about Coca-Cola and the critical race and this push, this reverse racism. Again, I've never been closer to my black friends that I love and care about, that they love and care over the other nationalities, men, women, than I am now. And I think because they realize that other people don't think this way. They know I'm a big sports fan and, go to church and everything. I'm still not perfect, but I've never been closer. And I've made a lot of good friends off here, off Facebook and stuff. Mac and Jack are great. If you want to, I'll be back on there Sunday around 7:30 a.m. Central Time. You can find me on the Northeast Streaming YouTube page there. I'll be on that 7:30 a.m. Central Time, or you can check out Max Sports on Facebook. I'll be on there live in Twitch, Mac MACS Sports. If not, I will be back here Tuesday around 9 p.m. Central Time. If you want to donate to the program, go through the Zelle app. I'm still working on that Patreon page. I'm probably going to get with the marketing company and put it up right, get all that set up. But still just building this thing one thing at a time. It's hard to do 12 hours and do this and build the show up. I'm mentally exhausted on the weekends, guys. People ask me, what do you do on the weekends? I get a couple of good naps in, I overeat. That's usually what I do, I'm only human, right? So have a good night, everybody. I will see you. You know what? I'm going to comment on this game. I don't know what the score is, Pickles. Okay, we're going to game 7. Yep, I figured it. Milwaukee won. Middleton had 38 points. The bench players play better at home, 30-17 for Giannis. So we got game 7. I still like Brooklyn to win game 7. Who else is playing tonight, Pickles? Let's see. No, nobody else is playing tonight. But tomorrow you'll have Philadelphia, Atlanta. I think Philly pushes that one to game 7. I said they'd win in 7. And I like Utah to win game 6 and push the Clippers to game 7, okay? So I'll see you around Tuesday on my show here around 9 p.m. Central Time here on SportsSkope. Have a good night, everybody.